Good evening and welcome to everyone who is joining us for the UC San Diego Parent and Family webinar. We'll give everyone just a few moments to join in and then we'll get started with our program. We do have Spanish interpretation available this evening, so please feel free to check in the chat for instructions regarding how to access that. We are excited to have you join us here this evening to hear about student well-being, housing update for the fall, the instructional plan for the fall, updates for our international students and families, and in-person activities and events. We will also have approximately 30 minutes for questions, so please feel free to use the question and answer feature to submit your questions live during the webinar. And we'll also be answering the questions that were submitted via the registration form a few days ago. I am Jody Wisely, Executive Director of Parent and Family Programs and Operations here at UC San Diego. As this unprecedented academic year begins to wind down, I want to take a moment to thank all the families and students for their resiliency and perseverance in continuing to create a strong, inclusive community here at UC San Diego. It hasn't always been easy, but with enhanced virtual opportunities, dedicated staff and faculty, and the commitment of our community members like you, UC San Diego has continued to thrive as a vibrant community, not just here in La Jolla, but throughout the world. As more opportunities become available for people to return to campus over the coming weeks and months, we want to make sure to thank all of you who have remained loyal Tritons from both near and far. This loyalty has been shown in so many ways, through volunteering as a Triton Family Ambassador, to serving on the Parents Council, to making a donation as part of UCare. You are making a difference in the lives of all students here at the university. As you hear from campus leadership throughout the evening what the summer and fall may bring, please remember that no matter what happens, UC San Diego is committed to providing the most comprehensive university experience possible to you and your students. And with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Angela Socia, Interim Executive Director of Student Health and Wellbeing.
Hello, can I have the first slide? Next slide. So the picture in San Diego County and on our campus is very encouraging. On the left, you will see the percent of tests which are positive. In the county, it's just around 1.5%. For our students and campus employees, the percent of positive test is much lower, less than 1 in 1,000, and it's been that way for weeks. But as you can see, we do a lot of testing here in San Diego, under 3,000 tests since March, 300,000 tests. On the right, if we look at rates per 100,000 individuals, we see that our students and employees have always had lower rates of viral activity. The county presents their data with a 7-day lag. For our students, we presented in real time, but you'll see compared to the community and age-matched peers, the campus community has done a great job keeping viral activity at a minimum on campus. Next slide. Here's a snapshot of the information available on our public dashboard at rtl.ucsd.edu. Please take advantage of this dashboard. We show the daily rate of tests and the positivity for our on and off campus students. As you can see now, we frequently have many days in which no student or employee has a positive test. Next slide. Our campus strategy throughout the pandemic has been built on 3 pillars: viral detection through a number of means, intervention, and support for cases of COVID-19. We've also worked to mitigate viral activity through many public health measures. Next slide. We've been busy modeling viral activity for the fall, taking into account our campus housing, classrooms, density, and physical configuration. This modeling predicts a very low level of viral activity infection in the fall, much lower than in the past year. Our current processes, which have been so effective this past year, will remain in place, including the ability to medically and academically support the few students who might acquire an infection. Next slide. We will continue to have PCR testing for individuals, both provider-performed testing as well as the self-administered testing through our vending machine process. We will continue to monitor the waste streams of our campus buildings, and if a viral signal is detected, we will move to targeted testing for the population that is in that building. Next slide. We are planning for the fall to have many of our students be vaccinated, and I'll speak to vaccination mandate in a minute, but vaccinated students, we will be testing on arrival. A little change each week we assess our situation. We believe we'll test them on arrival so they learn how to do self-administered testing in case they ever need to do that. But if they've been vaccinated, they will not need to do asymptomatic testing. In other words, testing even though you don't have any symptoms. But should they have any symptoms, even if they're vaccinated, we will want them to test. So we want to make sure they know how to do that. Unvaccinated students will be required to test on arrival, day 1, 5, and 10. We do this to pick up any viral activity that may be coming onto campus and to quickly isolate individuals and support them until they recover. They will be required to undergo testing, asymptomatic testing, weekly or every other week, depending on the viral activity in our community. So we will have a very comprehensive testing strategy as well as viral detection strategy for the fall. Next slide. UC San Diego has the capacity and infrastructure to provide vaccination for any and all unvaccinated students or employees for the fall. And we will also be vaccinating incoming and returning students throughout the summer in preparation for the academic year, with ongoing vaccination throughout the academic year. Policies are currently under review that would mandate vaccine for fall enrollment, with exceptions for those with medical and religious reasons not to vaccinate. We will be accepting all WHO approved vaccines. Thank you, and now to the next section.
Thank you, Dr. Socia. We appreciate your commitment to maintaining the highest level of student health and safety here at UC San Diego. Now, we'll learn more about what on-campus housing will look like in the fall from Janice Severson, Director of Housing, Dining, and Hospitality.
Hello, I'm happy to be here to share some housing updates with you. Next slide. Before we get to fall, I'm going to share a little bit about summer 2021. It is just a couple of weeks away. Our applications are open now for single occupancy summer assignments. So we will continue with single occupancy this summer. We have several programs. The first is our traditional summer session housing, and that is a program for students who did not live on campus this year, but they are enrolled in summer courses this summer. We also have our Accelerate program, which is for students who did live with us on campus this year and are enrolled in summer courses. Our third program is called the Short-Term Transition Housing Option. And this may be of interest to you and your student if they need flexible housing accommodations this summer. It may be appropriate if you are an international student who is unable to travel home this summer, or if you are a recent graduate who just needs temporary housing for a short term until your new housing becomes available in your new life. But this program is available. It's very flexible, runs from June 18th through September 4th for whichever amount of time an individual might need housing. So we have quite a lot of information. Our website is located on the screen, and maybe we can drop it into the chat as well if you would like more details about summer housing. Next slide. Okay, fall quarter 2021. So many questions. We all have questions that we're hoping to answer in the near future, but things are still being discussed right now. I can share that our projected number of beds for this fall is 12,279 for undergraduate students and 5,257 for graduate students. So as we have throughout the pandemic, and we're working to meet the needs of our students, all of our decisions are being led by their consideration for their health and safety for our students, our staff, and our communities. For this fall, students will primarily be placed in doubles with limited single rooms. And double occupancy housing is going to be dependent on public health guidelines. I can share that we will no longer offer any triple occupancy housing. So that means no triple rooms. And that has an impact as a reduction of just over 2,000 beds from our portfolio. Next slide, please. So for this fall, housing will be offered using a priority system. The level 1 priority is for scholars that are in programs that provide 4 years of a housing guarantee or mandate living on campus as a condition of their offer for that program. Level 2 priority goes to new incoming first year and transfer students and returning second year students who remained in on-campus housing for the 2020-21 academic year. Priority 3 will be for remaining second year students, and we'll be utilizing a lottery system in order to set invitations for spaces that we have available. And priority 4 is remaining in third and fourth year students. And historically, we are only able to accommodate a very small group, and it's typically through our wait list over the course of the summer. So assuming that we're able to offer double occupancy this fall, we expect to house groups 1 and group 2, and some students from group 3.
Thank you for that update, Jana. Just to clarify, because I know that we had a lot of questions regarding housing. If we could go back just one slide, please. I just want to give people an opportunity to kind of review the slide and just clarify that based on double occupancy in the fall, we would be able to house groups 1 and 2, which includes scholars and programs that provide 4 years of housing guarantee, our new incoming first year and transfer students, and returning second year students who remained in on-campus housing during this academic year, correct?
That is correct.
Great. And then possibly some of the students from group 3, which would be based on the lottery system, correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great information. I know we had a lot of questions regarding housing. As always, if you have additional questions regarding housing or dining on campus, you can visit the HDH website for the most up-to-date information. We will also have the live question and answer a little bit later in the webinar. So we'll also try and address some questions there. We will now hear from Associate Vice Chancellor Carlos Jensen, who will provide some insight into what fall instruction may look like.
All right, thank you. It's my pleasure to give you an update on what to expect in terms of classes this summer and fall. For summer, the schedule's live. We have over 800 remote classes. And for those of you who are planning to be here in person, 60-some in-person classes designed to help you catch up on some of the crucial hands-on experiences you may have missed over the course of the year. Over a third of UC San Diego students are already registered for summer classes and taking advantage of this option to catch up, get ahead, or just make the most of summer. So now is the time to consider whether that's the right option for you. As President Drake and Chancellor Kozlev shared, the UCs and UC San Diego are very excited to be returning to predominantly in-person instruction for fall. In the United States, and particularly in California, we have made great strides in getting this pandemic under control. And Dr. Socia shared some of the numbers for our campus just a few minutes ago. And a year of safe operation has taught us a lot. And with vaccination rate rising rapidly among our campus population, we believe we will be ready. We will continue many of the safety and compliance programs that we've run this whole year and which have kept us safe. We do recognize that after a year of isolation, this feels scary to many. But we are confident this summer will help us ease into being around people and getting back to our lives. The schedule of fall classes went live today, and it shows a schedule which is almost all in person. We are committed to supporting students who, for visa, travel, or health issues, cannot join us in person in the fall. The goal is to adjust our schedule and the number of online offerings starting July 1st. We're doing this in order to allow faculty and students to have a better sense of what the situation will be in the fall and how they will join us. If you're a student who needs online classes, we ask that you communicate that need to your advisor, the International Students and Programs Office, or the Office of Students with Disabilities, depending on your circumstances, so we have a chance to record and respond to your needs. We recognize that this is different from what some of you expected, but we think it's the best solution given how rapidly things are changing. With that, I hope to welcome you back to campus soon, and I'll be happy to take questions later in the session. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, AVC Jensen. Next, Dulce Dorado, the Director of the International Student and Program Office, will provide important updates and information related to our international students and families.
Hi, thank you, Jody. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be providing current immigration and regulatory updates that are impacting our international students. Next slide, please. So the first update is that there are continued loosening of travel restrictions to the United States. On April 30th, the US State Department announced that some visa holders would be exempt from certain pandemic-related travel restrictions under what's called the National Interest Exception Policy. This is good news for our students, especially from Brazil, China, Iran, Ireland, South Africa, the United Kingdom, and the Schengen region of Europe, who are subject to these travel restrictions. The second update is that there is continued visa appointment and processing delays. So although I shared earlier that there is a loosening of travel restrictions, and this is welcome news, there are still continued concerns about visa appointment and processing delays at US embassies and consulates around the world. They're slowly resuming routine visa services and prioritizing student visas. In fact, the Consul General at the US Embassy in Beijing, China, recently announced that they were now accepting applications and visa appointments. However, recent closure notifications continue So we ask that students and their parents please continue to check the local website for appointment wait times and non-immigrant visa information. Third, COVID-19 testing requirements for entry into the United States are still in place. So students will need a proof of negative COVID test taken within the last 3 calendar days or proof of recovery from COVID-19 for all air passengers arriving in the United States. The fourth update here is that any international student coming to the United States will be required to enroll in at least one in-person or hybrid course. And then lastly, we've heard from many students and families the concern about the visa and travel delays. Do know that UC San Diego, including the campus's Federal Government Relations Office and my office, the International Students and Programs Office, is very active in advocating for our international students so that they can arrive in the fall term. For example, on April 30th, the University of California did send a letter to the US Department of State and the US Department of Homeland Security to advocate on behalf of our students. And hopefully that will show some positive results soon. Next slide, please. So with the evolving visa and travel situation, here are some key considerations when preparing to arrive in the United States. First of all, visa. So make sure and double check, is the US Embassy or consulate open in your local area? And are there visa appointments available before the start of the fall term? Second, travel. So looking at is the student or is your student subject to any travel restrictions? Third, making sure that the immigration documents are valid and in order. So for example, does your student have and has received a Form I-20 or a DS-2019 from UC San Diego? Fourth, looking at any testing or quarantine requirements that student may be subject to. And then the fifth one is looking at enrollment for the fall term. Next slide. Many of you know that for graduating international students and for graduating students of UC San Diego will be hosting an in-person commencement in June. For international students and their family members who are planning to arrive in the United States to attend commencement, UC San Diego and the International Students and Programs Office is offering a support letter if needed in terms of the visa and travel process. Please look at the Commencement website. It's commencement.ucsd.edu. And in addition, for those who cannot attend, a live stream will be available. Next slide. For more information about any of the information that I just provided, but also information about the International Students and Programs Office, here's a list of various resources online. The main website to please remember is istudent.ucsd.edu, and that will take you to many of our available resources. So thank you, Jody. I'll hand it back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dulce. If you're an international student or family and you have additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out directly to the team at the International Student Programs Office. To give us a picture of what the fall quarter will look like from an activities and events standpoint, Assistant Vice Chancellor of Student Life, Patty Mahaffey, is here to share with us.
All right, thank you, Jody. If you can go to the next slide. All right, so our TWOW stands for our Triton Weeks of Welcome, and it begins in September. And we are planning for an in-person fall that will be full of events and activities for our students. And we know that our students and actually our staff have really missed seeing each other in person and seeing your students. So we are really looking forward to the opportunity to socialize on a large scale, and we can't wait to welcome your students either back to campus or if they're new to campus, to campus. So TWOW includes our undergraduate college orientations that will both be online and in person. And it also includes our Welcome Week. Our orientation is different than our Welcome Week. Our Welcome Week is focused on a lot of events and activities. The orientations are really focused on providing information to new students. And then we have our residential move-in period as well. So Welcome Week events and activities will be open to 2020 students as well as our new 2021 students. The campus is keenly aware of the need to provide opportunities for connection and engagement with campus for our 2020 students who missed that opportunity this year. Next slide. So this slide just includes some of the events we are looking to coordinate this fall. Students will be getting information about TWOW and Welcome Week and all these events this summer. There are several staff and student committees that are planning the Triton Weeks of Welcome for in-person programming. And we'll also be providing some hybrid options as well for students that can't join us in person. We have over 600 student organizations on campus. We have the undergraduate colleges. There's going to be plenty to do. Events include things like our traditional convocation, which is the formal academic welcome to the institution. We'll be doing campus and classroom tours. We will have an academic and student services support fair. There's athletic events. We'll be doing some events down called Meet the Beach, and hopefully one that will target just our 2020 students. And there'll be a myriad of social and entertainment events. Next slide. We also know that some of our students might not be able to live on campus this year. And so we are coordinating an off-campus housing fair that will be happening on Tuesday, May 27th. So it's coming up next week. And you know what? I think that's Thursday, May 27th. Yeah. I'll drop the link. That's right, right, Jody? Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thursday, May 27th, we'll fix that slide. And I'll drop the link for the registration for that webinar in the chat so you all can share that and check it out. But it will include information about renting for the first time. We will share our off-campus housing website platform that helps students find off-campus housing. We actually have an office dedicated to this on campus. We'll have student legal services there, and HDH our housing and dining and hospitality will also be there. So we hope that your students that are looking for off-campus housing can join this webinar because it will be full of good information for them. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patty. Now I'd like to open it up for questions and answers. As I mentioned at the beginning of tonight's session, we'll be answering as many questions as possible, both including those that were submitted beforehand and those that have been submitted during the session. So I'd like to kick it off with a question regarding in-person activities. Patty, since you were just up, could you just take a moment to explain maybe in a little more detail kind of the orientation that the class of 2020 received and then how that differs from what they'll get from TWOW in the fall?
Yeah, so the orientations, those are facilitated through the undergraduate colleges, also through our International Student Programs Office. And those are really information about registration for classes, information about the undergraduate colleges. The information or the activities that happen in Welcome Week are really activities to socialize students with the campus, how to find their ways around campus, what are the variety of resources on campus to help support students. So those events and activities are traditionally what we do during Welcome Week. And those will be available to all students in the fall of 2021.
Great, thank you so much. So it sounds like the class of 2020 will have access to kind of all the activities that they would need to orient themselves to being on campus in the fall.
That's exactly right.
Great, thank you so much. Jill, I know that we are moving in quickly on commencement, which will be taking place in June. Would you like to just give us a quick update on what commencement might look like?
Thanks, Jody. Yeah, I would. Jill Townsend, I'm the Executive Director of Special Events and Protocol. Thanks for having me today. We are delighted as a campus to be able to offer the class of 2021 in-person commencements on the weekend of June 12th and 13th. We have nearly 6,000 students that have registered to participate with us over the course of 10 ceremonies on those 2 days. So we are feverishly preparing for that and are very excited to have that happen. In order for us to accommodate these plans, students need to register for commencement by tomorrow, May 19th, by the very end of the day, so 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So if you have a student who hasn't registered yet, please get on them to make sure that they take care of it. Late registrations will not be accepted. And some other key facts is we've been able to allow for 2 guests to accompany each graduate. We need to have those folks registered in advance. Everyone will need to, grads and guests will need to come together kind of in their own little pod. They will be seated together. Graduates will have a chance to cross the stage as they might in a typical non-pandemic year commencement ceremony. And then, all of the rest of the trappings of commencement ceremonies will take place. Like I said, again, across all of those 6 undergraduate college and 4 graduate and professional school ceremonies that happen that weekend. So we're very excited and we hope to see some of you there.
Thank you so much, Jill. Jana, we've had several questions in the Q&A about housing. So can you give us a timeline? That's a popular question. When people will know if they have or have not received on-campus housing?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. First, let me share that we currently have 3 different application and contracting processes happening simultaneously, and they all impact each other. So until we have information on all 3 of those categories, it's difficult for us to predict how many students in priority 3 are going to be able to receive a contract. But first we have our incoming first-year students, and those contracts are already in, and our continuing students, their application process is complete, but the contracting process has not begun yet. And our incoming transfer students are also in the process first right now of applying. So those are the 3 processes that are happening simultaneously. We hope to begin to offer contracts to incoming first-year students. That started actually last week. Incoming transfers, we won't be able to do until the after June 7th. And our continuing students then will be also around that time. That's when we can have the lottery and start to begin to offer those contracts. We will continue to offer contracts throughout the summer. Our metrics that we use each year for housing contracting, it's just simply don't apply to 2020-21. It's just been a year that is unique in and of itself in all ways. So it's difficult for us to predict how many students will be able to receive a contract from Group 3. What I do know, because it happens every year, is that students will cancel their contracts over the course of the summer. Families make personal decisions regarding their college experience, and changes happen throughout the course of the summer. So we will continue to offer space as long as we have space available. And we want to accommodate everybody as much as we possibly can.
Thank you so much. There was a question regarding Will vaccination status be considered at all when pairing roommates in on-campus housing?
This is a complicated question, and we're under discussion. At this point, we cannot commit to vaccinated students live with only vaccinated students and vice versa. We are strongly encouraging all of our students to vaccinate. We believe this is the most important thing they can do for their safety. We also believe that we've consistently had lower rates of viral activity in the students that live on campus, and that offering double housing gives them a safe place on campus as much as possible. So we don't want to limit ourselves to only having single housing, because that would force many of our students into the community, which actually might put them in more dense situation. And so we want to, the modeling says we can very safely, with some good precautions and regular testing, go to doubles quite safely without a significant negative impact.
Thank you so much. We've had a few questions regarding study abroad programs and what that might look like in the fall and potentially in the spring of next year. Do we have any sense of if those programs may once again be available?
I can respond to that. So most of the study abroad programs that UC San Diego students participate in are part of the University of California's Education Abroad program. I'll go ahead and put in the link to the UCEAP website, where they have an update on the 2021 and 2022 programs. Currently, based on their website information, it looks like the summer programs have been canceled for 2021. And also some of the programs for fall 2021 have also been canceled. And then more updates will be available then on this particular website based on health and safety evaluations in those particular locations. So I'll go ahead and put that URL or the link into the chat.
Great, thank you so much, Dulce. ABC Jensen, can you tell us a bit about summer classes? Will those be virtual, in person, hybrid? I'll leave it at that.
Sure. So as I shared in my remarks, the vast majority of classes this summer are being offered as remote classes. That's a mix of both synchronous and asynchronous classes. And synchronous means that there's an expectation to be present at a specific time of day. Most of our faculty understand that that's very difficult for students, especially over the summer. So we should have quite a number of offerings that are asynchronous. We have a small group of classes that are taking place on campus, and that's to support especially the students who need those hands-on skills like labs and things like that, or who are already here on campus and want to have kind of a more gradual introduction to returning to be in person. So it's 800 remote sections and about 60 to 70 in-person sections.
Great, thank you. And a quick follow-up on that, we had a few questions about art studios and labs in the fall, and will those return to in-person as most classes will?
Yeah, we project opening up almost all of our facilities. We're going to need to look at some of these on a case-by-case basis, and there may need to be some modifications in terms of density or the kind of equipment that students have access to. But the vast majority of campus and all the facilities that students need and enjoy will be available.
Great. If we had a few questions, if a student doesn't get into on-campus housing, would that be a reason for them to qualify and remain remote learning in the fall?
So we don't know how many remote classes and how many spots for remote learners we will have. If they're available, they're open to other students to take advantage of that, but we don't foresee having the ability to create additional remote sections to accommodate students who can't get into student housing.
Great, thank you. And Jana, we had a question if there were students who were living on, freshmen who are living on campus this year, but went home due to COVID mid-year, what group do they fall in now that we're looking you know, at the 4 groups for next year?
Sure thing. If the student did not live on campus for the duration of the academic year, then they are in priority 3.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And mask wearing on campus now, if we could get just an update on what that policy is, and then also what we think the mask policy will be for in-person classes in the fall. Dr. Socia or ABC Jensen, I don't.
Sorry, Jody, I was trying to answer a question in the chat.
So sorry, I know.
Too many.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you answering them in the chat as well. We had a few questions regarding just kind of the current mask policy on campus, and then also what the mask policy might be for the in-person classes in the fall.
Yes, right now, basically all our indoor spaces, individuals are staying masked unless they're in a private office. Our students in their residential suites are able to unmask, which is something that we do after we're sure that things are very stabilized. At the start of each quarter, we carefully assess all the students, test them quite frequently. And when we get a viral load that is very, very low and not a lot of viral activity, then we allow the students to unmask in their residential spaces, although we don't let them visit between spaces. So in the indoor spaces, pretty much everyone is masked. Indoor dining, we now allow for our vaccinated students. We don't recommend that for the unvaccinated students. We recommend that they have their outdoor dining if they want to dine with others. So outdoor spaces, unless there are large numbers, such as commencement, individuals are allowed to not be masked as long as there's adequate distancing in the outdoor spaces. In the fall, we anticipate there will be some masking. Oh, in our outdoor classrooms, we do have our students mask and our faculty mask in the outdoor classrooms. That is one space outside the outdoor classrooms because people are sitting in stationary positions for periods of time. We believe that masking makes it a little bit safer. It is possible and likely that we'll have masking for some of the indoor classroom activity in the fall. We'll be watching things very closely. What we've learned is that we need to look at the information, regularly monitor things, adjust our recommendations for the campus community. That strategy of being very careful and thoughtful and using the data to help our decision-making has worked very well for us. So we often start out with a very conservative stance to make sure things are very safe, and then we allow a little more activity when we can safely do that.
Thank you so much. We had a question regarding variants. The COVID variants that we're seeing and how that will play into the planning for the fall on campus.
We're monitoring it very carefully. Actually, the UK variant of the V1.17 is the predominant virus circulating in San Diego, so that we know the variants because variants of concern are more transmissible or cause more severe infection. And so we have to monitor them because they've become very successful. That's why they start taking over instead of the wild types. So right now we're in a very good position because our vaccine, our messenger RNA vaccines work very effectively even with the variants. We do have to keep an eye on this though. If things change, then we might find ourselves having to make adjustments in our recommendations. But right now, the situation has been pretty good and we're comfortable that our vaccines are quite effective against the current variants that we're dealing with.
Thank you so much. Jana, we had a question regarding move outs. Will parents be allowed to assist their students moving out of the dorms in June?
Yes, that is coming up here quickly. So the answer is yes. Each student will be able to have 2 helpers with them for the move out process. Different from fall move in, you don't have to sign up for a particular time to do that. You can do it at your convenience. Two helpers, one family unit in the elevator at a time. Helpers need to be masked while they are helping, and they'll have about an hour to move their student out. If your student happens to be coming home for Memorial Day weekend, you might want to encourage them to bring a load of things with them at that point to make it easier when you come to help out. Hope that helps.
Great advice. Another quick question. We do have some singles on campus, single rooms. Will those be used as singles in the fall, or will they be used as doubles?
They will be used as singles. So we will have, when we say we'll have double occupancy, that means that we will use doubles as they are designed, where this year they were only assigned one student to them. But for their single rooms that are single by design, they will have one student. Our double rooms will have two.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Socia, we've had a few questions regarding how students will show that they've been vaccinated when they return to campus in the fall. What's the guidance you can give on that?
So we're working through some processes which will allow the student to enter their data, much like they do other immunizations directly into EPIC. That extra programming will be done by next week. So students who are getting vaccination outside of the health system or student health can enter their vaccine information into their My Student chart. And then we'll be able to pick up on our daily screener that they have been vaccinated. If you get a vaccine through the health system or student health at Price Center or REMAC, that will automatically be in the system. You don't have to do anything special.
Patty, can you talk to us a bit more about some of the assistance that students or their parents could expect to receive from the off-campus housing staff at UC San Diego? What types of services and resources do they have available?
Yeah, so our off-campus housing office can help students find housing off campus, navigate the off-campus housing website. We can also help students when they go get ready to sign a lease to navigate that process. We have a student legal services office on campus, so all our students have a free lawyer, which is great. But they can help sort of navigate that process. They can also help connect students with a roommate matching program as well, and help them find affordable housing off campus.
Thank you so much. Gianna, how do students request a roommate for on-campus housing? What does that process look like? And are all groups eligible to make that request?
So for our incoming students, you'll fill out a personal history form that'll give us information that we utilize for matching roommates. For continuing students, you can indicate your roommate preference as part of the room selection process. That is going to be in late July, early August for continuing students who have a contract. And at that point, they'll be able to indicate their roommate if they have a preferred roommate, or they'll be able to build groups if they have several folks that they would like to live with, and indicate at that point who they have as preferred roommates and what their room type preferences are.
And we had a great question about dining dollars. If someone has dining dollars left that they won't be able to use, is there a way for them to donate those to students on campus in need?
There's two things. That's not where I thought you were going. So I'll share the first one, which is that dining dollars roll over to fall quarter of the following year. So if your student has remaining dining dollars at the end of this year, they automatically roll over and they can be used again next fall. That's consistent. That's not COVID related. We also have a program that's offered around this time of year. If you check on the housing website, There is a dollar donation program so that students can, if they have a few dining dollars left, they can contribute it to other students who would like to receive them.
So that's great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
A question about intramural and club sports. Will those resume in the fall?
My understanding
that they will be, right? We fully hope to be able to do that. Now, when we say that, there may be possibility that if its student is unvaccinated or has certain medical conditions that will make them particularly vulnerable to COVID, or their immune system doesn't allow them to respond well to the vaccine, we may give them different advice. But we fully anticipate that most students will be able to participate in club sports. Our Division I athletes have done a phenomenal job competing throughout the spring. And so we have developed ways to safely allow the students to participate in athletic activities.
Awesome, great. For those students who are coming from an international location, should they plan on getting vaccinated if it's available in their home country before they arrive here, or should they wait until they get to UC San Diego?
Our recommendation is to take advantage of any WHO approved vaccine in your home country. That will give you definitely some benefit. And if it turns out, and the vaccine science is still evolving, we need to be mindful that we are still learning about the vaccines. It's amazing we actually have such effective vaccines already developed, but we're still learning about duration or whether some of these might be boosters or additional vaccination. So we'll know more even in a couple months, but we do not recommend that students delay vaccinating and waiting until they get here. We think it's much better to take advantage of what they have available to them in their country that they're in. And then we'll help them if it looks like they need additional vaccination or care once they're here.
Thank you. Another question about dining dollars. If someone has dining dollars on their account and they're living off campus, are they still able to use those when they come back onto campus for classes or activities?
If you have dining dollars on your account, yes, you sure can. And if you don't mind, I saw another question about students who live off campus. Can they get dining plans? We have a program called Triton Cash, and that is available for all students and faculty and staff. So if you would like for your student to have a meal plan, even if it's just a smaller one where they can grab and go when they're on campus and it's more convenient, they absolutely can do that. Just check out our Triton Cash page.
And I know we saw a few questions about students who live off campus and transportation options that may be available to them. I know we have the trolley that will be coming onto campus beginning in the fall of 2021. Patty, what other public transportation options are available to our students living off campus?
Yeah, our students pay for a bus pass that allows them, that's embedded in their fees, that allows them to access the MTS bus system so that if they live off campus, they'll be able to hop on a bus and get to campus. And yes, we are having a trolley, but that will, I think the first rider is slated for the end of November. But that will be exciting. That will connect the campus to a lot of the south side of San Diego.
Thank you so much. ABC Harrelson, we've had a few questions regarding career coaching that's available to students on campus, as well as how students would find out about internship opportunities. If you'd like to take a moment to speak to those.
Good evening. Yes, so our career services office is open currently for in-person and virtual appointments. To see a counselor in person, they must have an appointment to come into the office. It is never too early to start coming to the Career Center. We suggest freshmen through seniors to come about, and we will teach the students how to set up a handshake profile so that they can get on Handshake. We have over 18,000 employers on Handshake that offers jobs and internships. And we have 5,000 to 6,000 jobs or internships at any one time. And we're happy to work with the students to help with.
Great, thank you so much. We also have many on-campus jobs that are available, and the Student Employment Office is also located at the Career Services Center on campus. So if your student is looking for an on-campus job for next academic year, please have them look on Handshake. They're also posted there, or visit the Student Employment Office. We have just a few minutes left. Dr. Socia, there was a question regarding if boosters are recommended for the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines moving forward in the future, will the university be offering those to students?
It's funny, I was just starting to type that into the answers. So if it turns out that there is a recommendation for boosters, we will follow that scientific recommendation and make vaccination available to our campus community. Right now, we don't yet know that, how long these vaccines are going to last for, and again, the impact potentially of variants adjusting any need for subsequent boosters or vaccination. So we'll keep posted, but I'm very comfortable that should it be a recommendation, we will make it available to our students and our campus community.
Thank you so much. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone, all the campus leadership who has joined us here this evening to give the presentation and answer as many questions as possible. I know there are a lot of questions surrounding on-campus housing. So Jana, if people still have questions, I know they can visit the HDH website, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Or if you have a specific question regarding your student's circumstances, you can reach us at housingcontracts@ucsd.edu, and we can respond for your specific situation. And if I can, encourage you to check back to the website often. When things change, not if, but when things change, they change fast. So please check it out frequently.
Great, thank you so much. And throw that in the chat, housingcontracts@ucsd.edu. Again, thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you to all the parents and families who shared your questions with us. We appreciate it. We are always here to assist in any way we can. If you aren't sure which office to reach out to, you at ucsd.edu, and we will be happy to direct you to the office that can provide assistance. Again, I hope you all stay safe. Have a great end of the spring quarter and summer, and we are so looking forward to having you join us again in person in the fall. So have a great evening. Thank you so much.